You have to read. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Just Us Here Being Real. If you're new here, a very big welcome to you. And if you're not so new here, you know the drill. Over to the question. Today we're going to be discussing about something very interesting. Some persons have been asking me to make a video on the different ways to survive on campus as a law student in a Nigerian university. So I am actually a law graduate of the River State University, River State. Yeah, that was last year. I'm a very, very fresh graduate. So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys on how to effectively study law in a Nigerian university, the expectations, the pros, and also the cons. So if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, you should be doing that at this moment. Before we proceed, I would want to clear a misconception among the student community. I'm talking about the world generally. One thing we should know that academics is not hard. Academics is not hard. Most persons say, I can't study law because law is so difficult. I can't study medicine because medicine is so difficult. I can't study engineering because engineering is so difficult. Literally, everything to the student community is difficult. So why are there people in the medical field, in the legal field, and the engineering field that are still studying this course to be engineers and lawyers and doctors and pharmacists? This is an indicator that academics is not difficult. The problem is that we have just painted this wrong idea, this wrong belief in our head that academics is difficult. You know, a particular course is difficult, so you want to opt for the one that will not stress you and stuff like that, which is actually wrong. If you want to study a course, I would advise you to literally go for it. If you can do it, so if you want to study law, right, and you have passion for it, of course you can study law. There's nothing that's like studying any other course. It just demands you to do whatever the other person studying pharmacy or nursing is doing. You just have to study, so you don't have to be scared. Go for what you want, right? I'm just going to give you a very, very brief story. Well, when I was in primary school, I actually did not want to study law. In fact, I never knew what I wanted, actually. So when I got to the university, the secondary school level, that was when I discovered that, okay, I loved science. Did I shock you? Yes, I loved science. I was in science up to SS2. If you're in Nigerian, you know that in SS2 you are expected to like choose the particular areas, arts or science. So I chose science. I was in science class for close to 2 terms. Then I realized that I couldn't cope anymore. I wanted to be an architect, right? So I had to go to arts. And since it was a place that was meant for me from the start, it wasn't difficult for me to, to familiarize myself with the area, and I was able to make it. And up to this point, I have finally studied my dream course, law, and I am very excited about it, right? I think one of the problems I had then, that I was so scared. People always tell me, law, lawyers, lawyers are serious readers. You have to study law for 10 years, this and that and that. And those things literally made me so scared. Honestly, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stress myself in this life. Oh. I was just very, very scared. But I decided to take the bold step. In fact, I wrote jam 3 times because of law. So I had the opportunity to leave the law and maybe go for mass comm or any other course, but I still fought for the law. So one thing you should know, that if you want to do something, you have to be passionate about it. And it's only when you're passionate about it, then you'll be able to do it. So moving on, I have is it five? 6 tips that will help you as an aspiring law student that want to study in a Nigerian university. So the first point is, which is the most important point that would never be overemphasized on, that is, you have to read. There is no two ways about it. Like, there's literally no two ways. And most persons will say, is there any way I can just be academically good and I don't read? Like, how do you guys do it? If there's any way, please bring it to my notice. I need it to. It is inevitable. You have to read. If you want to excel in the academic field, you have to read. You have to take that risk and read. Yes, you have to take that pain and read. You have to read. That's the only way you can excel. There's no two ways about it. So the second point is create reading groups. Create reading groups. But this one is most times based on your discretion, right? So you can decide to create reading groups. That if you're someone that love reading with people, it will help foster better understanding, because when you're teaching others and others are teaching you, or when you're just like, playfully just saying some kind of things, you wouldn't know that those things are literally going into your ears and they're being stored in your memory. But if you're someone that like reading on his or her own, maybe you could do that. At the end of the day, just do whatever works well for you. Point three is have a schedule. Have a reading schedule. I spoke a bit about it in the first point. Have a reading schedule. You need to have your plan. Those of you that read without timetables, I don't really know how you guys do it, but you guys are the president general among the nations. Because how? I cannot study effectively and I cannot be accountable if I don't have a schedule, right? Having a reading timetable, having time for literally everything, it really, really helps. At least you will know the time that's apportioned to a particular thing, and you might not really have to, like, waste your time doing some unnecessary things, because keeping a schedule makes you accountable, right? And it also promotes a sense of consistency, right? And also act as a form of motivation. So if you have like a timetable or a study plan and you paste it on the walls of your room or your hostels or wherever you stay, if you see it every morning, of course you'll be motivated to read. Then number 4, search for the easiest method available. Search for the easiest method available. Yes, like I said previously, you must not read the biggest textbooks, the one that's as big as this. You might read a very small textbook or a key point note, or maybe the note of like a senior colleague that has passed out of the faculty, and you understand better than someone that have 20 huge looking textbooks. So look for the easiest method, and that is where reading smart comes to play. You need to look for the easiest available textbooks, right? So if you're reading and you don't seem to understand, or maybe someone just introduced you to something that will aid better understanding, my dear, go for it. Honestly, and when it comes to studying law in a Nigerian university, we have broad courses like constitutional law, we have labor law, we have legal method, and some other courses that we do, which are very, very broad. And the textbooks are broad. And of course, you have to cite cases, you have to read statutes, you have to know the definition, the position of the law, the principle of the law. All those things is just difficult to put inside your head, right? So when I was in school, I can remember I always made sure that I read the notes of past past colleagues, like no, they're not my colleagues, they're my senior colleagues. Yeah. So notes of some senior colleagues that have passed out of the faculty. I made sure that at the beginning of every semester, I try my best to like get their notes to read, to make my own notes and stuff like that. You get, so that it will help me in understanding, because what might take me like 2 hours to read from a big textbook and understand, I can literally just go to someone that have already simplified it and everything enters my head. Now, I will also give you something for free. Things that will help you also when you are studying the law. Number 1, know the principle of the law. Number 2, know cases. Cases. And number 3, also know the status attached to them. Yes, don't worry, the moment you go to the Faculty of Law, if you're already there, I think you understand what I'm saying. You should know the principle of the law, that is position of the law. You should know the status attached to it. We're talking about the Constitution, Evidence Act, and those kind of things. Then we have cases, like cases that have been handled, disputes that have been resolved by the court, litigations, right? You need to know it. If you know these 3, yeah, you can actually pass through the Faculty of Law successfully. Yeah, you have to look for the easiest ways to understand. That means having to get textbooks that you are most comfortable with. You must not go with big textbooks and stuff. Yeah, you can go with a smaller one, so far as you can understand it properly, right? So you have to know your strengths. You have to know your strength is very, very important. And also you need to know your reading pattern. Like, how do you absorb information? Is very, very important. Maybe I'm going to talk about that in the next video. Different types of reading style and patterns. You should have a reading pattern. And if it's not favorable to you, you switch, right? So if you've gone through all the reading patterns and you find out that, okay, I cannot do any of this, be like me. Create up your own reading pattern. You have to try your best and get a reading pattern, because you need to read effectively if you would survive in the Faculty of Law, any Nigerian university. Do not forget to make your notes. Do not forget to make your notes. It's also an easiest way. I know that there's some persons that don't really have to make notes. I mean, they can read their textbooks from beginning to end and they understand it properly. They don't need any notes or stuff. But I'm this kind of person that really love making notes. So when I'm studying, I always have a note with me. Like if I don't write when I'm studying, it's almost as if I'm wasting my time. So I have to write something. I have a proof here. This is a note that I used when I was in the school. Yes, let me see. Okay, so you can see this. Yeah, this is I don't know if you can see this clearly. So this is, yeah, I have a horrible writing though, but this is my notes. As you can see, the red pen and the blue pen. The blue pen is for like normal writing. Then while the red pen is to cite cases or status. So it's very important that you have this note, right? So that during exam it will not be that difficult for you. But some persons can just read their textbook. I mean, those persons are the president generals, but I cannot do that. That's impossible to me. During exam time, I don't read my textbooks. I just read that note that I wrote a lot of things. And I don't like copy everything from your textbook to your notes. No, I take the important things and I make sure that I put things in keywords, right? I don't write everything. I just indicate them in pointers, right? So if I look at this, I'll be able to remember something else. So I would advise that you do that if you'd like to do that. It will actually help you so well. Now, most persons will always tell you that people that do this type of things are people that are reading to pass. No, no. It's not people that are reading to pass. It's just to make things a bit easier for them. Then still under this point, one thing you should know also is that we don't have a specific time to start reading. The moment they have given you admission, in fact, even before they give you the admission, or you're very sure your chest that will give you the admission, start reading books. Start reading books. So I told you earlier that I wrote jam 3 times, right? Okay. So the third time that I actually wrote jam, I was very much confident that I was going to get the admission. I started reading some books online, not Nigerian books, yeah, just online books about law, and I just got something. Law means civilization because I think then I was watching a movie, Legally Blonde. So then I was like, okay, I'm watching this movie and it's about law. I was inspired. So I was like, okay, let me just get prepared. You get. So my mom will tell me, read those because maybe your first day of class, they might ask you what is law, so you're not for your hand here. So I was also studying and stuff. And all those things I was just studying. I was casually reading. These are things that were like we actually learned for like a whole semester. I'm like, wow, so this stuff actually works. You get. So you have to start reading immediately. Start reading. Start reading. Now, at that point, when you're reading, then you're actually reading to gain knowledge. You're reading to gain knowledge. Then when you start writing it down and you have like a separate note where you've written pointers down, when you're reading during exam time, then you read to pass. You understand? The problem with some people now, like some Nigerian students, are most of them read to pass. They just read to pass, read to pass. They don't read to understand. They don't read to have knowledge because they start reading late. So if you want to read to understand, you have to start reading early. Right? So when you've understood it very well, you just put in that in a very simplified format. Then you read and pass your exams. The fifth point here is study your lecturers. Yeah, study your lecturers. I don't say you should sit down and start looking at your lecturer and writing. No, no, no. You need to learn how to study your lecturers. If you understand the style of teaching or how the lecturer teach, then answering the question in exam or test or whatever will not be so difficult for you, right? So there's some lecturers that just love when you just give them things like back to back. So if they tell you Obi is a boy, during exam time, write Obi is a boy. During test time, write Obi is a boy. Like don't say Obi might be a boy because lawyers always have a way of just trying to confuse people, right? Just write it the way. Why? There's some persons that will want to text your intellect, right? And they'll say, "What is Obi?" So if you say Obi is a boy, person might feel like you're not serious. So then you can be able to add up something. And one thing you know, when answering law questions, yeah, you don't at this point you don't go straight to the point. You need to like hover around a bit, at least by giving like, will I say just like giving like a background of the particular question before going to the question directly. But it's quite different in law school. I will make a separate video about that. But at the same time, even as you're trying to build your background and stuff, please don't just play around, and at the end of the day, you do not give the exact answer that they are looking for. So learn how to play around, and at the same time, learn how to put your answers there too. right? I'm going to make a separate video on how to effectively answer law questions. So that is, by the way, you need to learn how to study your lecturer, know the kind of questions this lecturer have set by making use of past questions. Study their past questions to give you knowledge on how this particular lecturer or that particular lecturer set his or her question. It will help you. It will even help you your study pattern. You know where to study as for exams and tests. And the last and not the least, I had to add this: prayer. Yeah, most of you will not want to hear this, but it's very important. You need to learn how to pray. You need to draw closer to God. The funny thing is that most of us rely so much on our strength. The Bible says, "By strength shall no man prevail." Right? So you have to trust God because it's going to be a journey. I'm not going to promise you that it's going to be smooth. There's some days that you go into that library and you will not feel like reading and you start crying because you have a lot to do and yet you've not started anything. There's some courses that you will open and you just get so confused because you don't know what's what the course is even talking about, right? People will come, friends will come to the strategy. The journey is going to be a lot, and that's why you're going to be needing God, the journey. So you have to draw closer to God, right? Believe God, be prayerful, right? Pray even before you study. Pray that the Lord should open your understanding so you can be able to understand the information and process quickly. And I know that you're going to have a successful journey. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope that you learned something, and if you have any question regarding what I said, you need more clarification, please do not forget to drop your comments in the comment box. I'm going to go through them, and if necessary, I might create another video to the question. Thank you so much for your time. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more interesting episodes. I will see you in the next video. Bye.